If it's banned in Europe, let's not eat it. Seriously.
Fresh to me meant witch or hot belly. And
Our bees are disappearing. Glyphosate, not supposed to be there. Shrimp is treated with formaldehyde. I can smell that from like a mile away.
Welcome to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast. And today's guest, I frequent her restaurant maybe 3-4 times a week, maybe more. I think we all find a restaurant and then we keep going. And the reason, though, I go to your restaurant is because of how healthy it is and how it makes me feel. And I think in this day and age where the food we put into our body means so much more, or at least the education on it is so much more prevalent. I'm super excited to have you in the studio and to hear really what goes into that and your opinion on this this fresh food. So Franchesca Nor,
Hello.
welcome to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Right off the bat, tell us about your restaurant and kind of what went into that, how you got there, etc.
Sure. Okay. So my restaurant's called Dive Coastal Cuisine. It's in Snyder Plaza, which is in University Park of Dallas, Texas, obviously. It is a little ode to kind of everything I love to eat. When I was a young child, I was eating all sorts of like I grew up in California and San Diego. And colorful food was very normal for me. Tons of vegetables. My parents raised me no red meat and no pork, actually. So I only ate chicken and fish. So predominantly my restaurant is chicken and fish. We do have some steak. We do have a little bit of pork. But for the most part, that's kind of where I based it off of, is what my appetite was. Health was just normal for us. I guess my mom paved the way and was a pioneer in that in so many ways now that I see. And I came to Dallas about 17 years ago. And I remember I went to culinary school in Miami Beach. So I got to influence some of my cooking with some Latin flares as well. Hence, we have plantain chips there as our main chip, right? But when I came to Dallas, I noticed there were so many restaurants that just had like a short rib and a flatbread and a mac and cheese. And I'm like, is there anywhere that I can just get like a really good salad and some fish, or some fish and vegetables, or, sauteed spinach? Like, I was just craving something lighter. And shoot, I put together the menu. I made it the way I wanted, like walk up order. I don't want to sit somewhere for 2 hours just to get a good salad kind of thing. And who knew? Everybody wanted to eat what I eat. I mean, and it stuck. I mean, I've been here 15 years now, so.
Yeah, and obviously Dallas, Texas is steak driven. It's meat driven. I always used to say there's not a great place to get fish. And the response might be, well, we're not on the water, right? And so fresh fish has to come.
Well, that's a little bit of a not really true. I mean, that's how people think. That's their perception. Like, oh, I don't want to get fish in the middle of the country. But believe it or not, even on the coast, fish is flown in. Yeah. Fish is flown in everywhere in the country. So it really doesn't matter where it's flown in. It's still flown in. And a lot of it is pre-frozen and things like that. I'm really particular about where I source my fish from. Like, for example, shrimp, for the most part from the Gulf, is treated with like a formaldehyde bleach component. I can smell that and taste that from like a mile away. Literally, if they order the wrong shrimp in my restaurant, I can open the door and I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that I'm very sensitive to. So I sourced a shrimp from the Sea of Cortez, Mexico, where they do not treat it. And it is sweet, beautiful, raw, clean shrimp. I guess my palate is sensitive to what is natural, maybe because I was always raised that way, right? And less chemicals, no sugar, like things like that. I really attribute that to my mom. She was really neurotic, and when you're little, you're like, why not? You don't trade your tabbouleh for an Oreo at school. Like, but as an adult, I mean, it formed me, right? And so now it's helping me to kind of share that wealth of knowledge with so many other people.
What were the things that she did that now have you opening a restaurant that's based on health? And
so from a very young age, we grew up in LA, okay, Los Angeles, California, and also San Diego in high school. There was a grocery store called Mrs. Gooch's. It is now called Erewhon. I think.
Have you ever had Mrs. Gooch's lemon cake?
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So my mom was the one that went to all those health food stores, and I was like, ew, but it was the norm for us. She never let us eat any sugar. I mean, for Halloween, she would take our bag that we would get for Halloween, and she would turn around and pour it back out and give it to the rest of the trick-or-treaters. Like we would have like one piece or something. She didn't feed us different kinds of meats. Like I said earlier, the pork and the steak were no. We were just chicken and fish. She had us sit down at dinner every single night at 6:00. That was mandatory. We could not miss dinner, no matter how old we were or what we were doing. That was her way of getting the family together. She would have parties. I mean, the most awesome parties. And when she would cook for like an army, like huge amounts of food everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful stuff that my mom would make. She loved Martha Stewart, right? She loved like the old homemakers that would really make the house gorgeous. I mean, the list goes on. My father's from Brazil, so he also came from a foreign country where everything was more natural. Everything that he ate was like rice and beans, and we actually grow something that is in generations of my father as well. So together, he eats more like a European.
But as a kid, tell me I can't have soda. I'm going to try and find a way to have soda.
Well,
tell me I can't have, junk food, and I will.
It comes back to that like ignorance is bliss thing. Like what you don't know, you're not searching for. It wasn't until I started, school or saw other people's lunches at school that it became like, wait, I want that. Why can't I have that? And then my mom would explain, well, there's this and that, and it's not good for you. Okay, fine. But then, I would sneak around and find a way. Yeah, of course, I would taste different things. But if you keep your home a certain purity, that's really your foundation. You know what I mean? And I feel like that foundation is kind of later in my life what formed me. Of course, as I grew up balanced, I would eat everything. I'm not.
Well, there was consistency in your household with your mom and your dad where, I would argue my mom, she's actually a gourmet chef and went to cooking school and loves to cook.
But you still found your Doritos.
Well, my dad loved Oreos, Doritos, peanut butter.
There you go. There you go.
So the consistency, I think, is what creates it. I think even in mixed families, right? Because we've had people on the show. Fit Brit has been on the show where she said, look, I like a certain way. And when my son goes to his dad's house, it's a certain way. And so
that's case.
The fight, right?
That's the case for me and my son, actually. So he's been exposed to both. So I couldn't do what my parents did for me. I couldn't just have this, you only get this food, right? Because he's already found all the other stuff.
How does that work, right? Just live with, because you're not going to.
He likes both.
Yeah, you're not going to control him.
No, and you know what? At this point, like whatever, see for yourself. But he does tend to come back to like, Mom, you're the best cook. Mom, make me this. Okay, good. Like at least I got something in him.
What would you say for the audience? Your favorite, easiest fish is to cook?
That's a good one. I like trout. It's thin, right? But it's quick. You just pan-sear it real fast and that's it.
Good answer.
I make sure it's really dry on top, okay? You want to pat it dry and get all the moisture off of it. And then make your, I like to use clarified butter, but make whatever your oil a high smoke point oil so it doesn't burn in the pan, but you want your pan to be really hot. And then turn it over face down, hold it there for a second, and then you get that little bit of crunch on top.
Ooh,
that's the way to do it.
Good.
Lemon at the end is my fave. Okay.
Love it.
Salt, just basic.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say I was ignorant to it too. For example, just salmon, right? I loved salmon, but I didn't know the difference between farm-raised salmon and natural wild-caught or, Copper River, right? Swimming up the river salmon. But I think I can taste the difference now. And I guess, thank you.
But that's what I want. That's my goal. Is like once you taste it, you can't untaste it, right?
You can't untaste it. You
notice it. Your body notices it.
Would you tell the audience what the difference is, for example, in something as simple as that, as farm-raised salmon versus...
that's a whole can of worms. Okay, so there's different levels of farm-raised salmon.
Or anything that might be farm-raised, right?
Okay, so anything that we're trying to... excuse me for saying this, but play God with. Like, we aren't supposed to create a farm-raised salmon, technically, right? I mean, we're trying to do that to help sustainability because things have been overfished and the ocean has been polluted, et cetera, et cetera. There's different levels. There's the level that the farmers do not care. It is fully profit-based. I mean, those salmon, if you saw, and you can watch all these documentaries nowadays, and they're just, their eyes are falling off. They're swimming in a circle. They're all tight together. You know, that is a no-no. But that is, believe it or not, a lot of that salmon is what's sold in your grocery store. Okay. Unless you go to a higher end grocery store, obviously they care a little bit more and they'll tell you the different levels. But I'm not going to say I only use wild salmon because I can't always get the best wild salmon. And sometimes the most lean salmon is going to be your wild salmon. So the darker color, right? You'll look for like a coho or something and it'll look really, really orange, almost red. That is a wild salmon. Rarely can they get that in a sustainable. So if you're trying to look.
Well, and more so the health side of it. What is the...
Well, I mean, what God intended, right? Think about it. You get so many more nutrients when you're living in the wild. They're instinctual beings, just like any animal or person. And when we try to mess with it and try to feed them pellets or something of that nature, it's not going to give you the same kind of nutrient base whatsoever.
Yeah, and a friend of mine was explaining something even with like where you get chicken matters.
Oh, that's a big one for me. I use a kosher halal chicken, which I love. It's all natural, it's organic, but it's not pumped up with hormones, right?
And so again, explain that to me, because as someone who just saw, ate, rinse, repeat,
right?
I didn't
don't
know
think of
like
it, but see
what
for
chicken to look at.
Chicken, I can totally tell the difference no matter where we are because it tends to be a little rubberier when you chew it versus the natural stuff.
But how do I?
How do you know?
I get it. It's like, but I had dinner the other night and I ordered Caesar salad. Can I have some chicken? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love some chicken. And the chicken's rubber. Like it's rubber. But I don't know that. And again, how, as a society that we are trying to be so much more health conscious, talk to me about that and also your plan to kind of get that awareness out.
Okay, well, the majority of chicken is pumped with a saline solution. So one time someone tried to buy Dive and it was a larger chain and they wanted to say, oh, don't worry, Francesca, it'll be apples to apples, because it was always a fear of mine of losing the integrity of my products, right? Apples to apples with the chicken. And I'm like, okay, send me a case of chicken. So they send me a case of chicken. I wish I had an example of this. My chicken, okay, it's like the size of my hand, right? Their chicken was like the size of my arm. I mean, it was like, that's apples to apples? How is that apples to apples? I'm sorry, but like, what chicken is this? Like, he's a big old chicken, and immediately the way they pump it up and try to give you more for your buck, right? I mean, that's really what it's about, the bottom dollar. All the health stuff goes out of your head. I mean, like, it's.
But how do we regulate that?
I'm fighting the good fight. I mean, this is like, how do you regulate that? I don't know. More people support small businesses that care.
And I learned this, I had my little brother on the program in the Big Brother, Little Brother program. And when I first got my little brother in the program, his family, extremely unhealthy. And here I come and I say, oh, I'm going to make the family, I'm going to make this family healthy. And at first I was like, let's go to some fresh spots. Or the funny thing is, like, fresh to me meant Witch or a Potbelly instead of Subway. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure.
Now I see that differently, but I'll tell you right now, the cost for me, and this was 15 years ago or 12 years ago. I mean, I've been doing it, but it was, I wanted to buy food for the whole family. And the cost for me to help feed them an entire meal, healthy meal, I really could not afford, right? Like, it was easy for me to go to Taco Bell and buy 18 chalupas or whatever, tacos, or go to McDonald's, whatever it may be, right? Whataburger. I literally struggled even if I wanted to go buy fruit for the house. It was expensive. So being in this space, where are we right now, and what's the fight with that to kind of educate slash get society to a place where it's not just for A, people who are educated, but B, an affordability?
Amen that you just asked that question, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I have a thing about where I don't understand why socioeconomic classes decipher how healthy we really are or what kind of food we get to eat, right? My goal here to try to fight the good fight, to try to expose people, because really I feel like exposure, the more people that are exposed to that, the less they will fall into the trap of society. And one of them is the lettuces that I'm growing for my restaurant is just a start, okay? I started a company called DiveDWN. It is partnering with a nonprofit, which is in a food desert. And the nonprofit is called 4Down. And they're two pro skaters, okay? And they own a skate park. And that skate park became a food hub because half the skateboarders that would come there didn't even have money to eat or pay for their skateboarding or whatnot. And we saw this problem kind of right away. And so they started partnering with all the different grocery stores. And I'm talking Whole Foods, Kroger, Trader Joe's right now. And we will bring in the food. After 3 days, they throw away perfectly good food. That's just FDA rule. So much food goes in the trash, believe it or not. And after 3 days, they will take that food, and instead of going to the trash, they take it to 4Down, and they take it to our cold storage bin, which is right directly next door to where my urban farm is. And in that cold storage bin, 2 times a week, we serve over 300 families fresh produce, fresh organic breads, milk, eggs, things that you're supposed to buy to nurture your body that they had never really seen, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so we create these boxes and we hand them out. And I put my little urban farm there to test out how much food we can grow and how many people we can educate in a place like this, that we have like an event space and a place to educate kids and a place to let them come and have fun and be cool. Like it's inviting, and we're trying to see if it's possible for me to bridge that gap between the socioeconomic class differences and take Dive, right, and make it smaller, make a small, more affordable company, but that is also completely sustainable, meaning we compost everything. We grow almost all of our vegetables. I'm not going to raise chickens or, make a salmon farm or anything like that. I'm still going to source some products. But for the most part, like we do a Texas jasmine rice, everything's local, everything's small footprint kind of, right? And by putting these little modular restaurants that are going to be in neighborhoods that you would never normally see a fresh product like that. You see McDonald's, you see Taco Bell, you don't see Jersey Mike's or whatever. You see, so I'm trying to make a little tiny drive-through, something like I'm a big fan of Salad and Go. I don't know if you've seen those or if you've tasted them, believe it or not. They're really good for what they are. I'm impressed. And the business model to me is genius because you can put them anywhere. They don't need a lot of space. They don't need a lot of overhead. They don't need a hood, which is like half your build out in cost.
Yeah, I saw the other day it's like a drive-through.
It's a drive-through. It's simply a drive-through. But what you get is a salad, a wrap, or a bowl or what, and what I'm trying to do here is like the family, like example, the family of your big brother family. I tend to do that constantly. I'm trying to take these families and kind of say, hey, taste this. Do you like it? Like, try it. It's cool. Do you want it? And then if they start to be like, oh, I've never had that. Oh, it's weird. And it's really hard actually to get someone to look at something new and actually like enjoy it or be open to it because it's so out of their norm and their comfort zone. But I'm telling you, the more we put it in their face and the more that we expose good food to all people, I feel like all humans shouldn't be served all these chemicals. I just don't understand why you have to pay more for something that has less stuff in it.
100%. I think it starts with the top down, right? I saw it again.
Of course.
I had to see it in my little brother CJ's mom and how she was feeding the family. And again, I'm not judging. That's all that's how she do it. That's how she was taught. And you almost said it. It's like I think the key is, even from someone like myself, still has to taste good.
It
Right?
has to
Like,
taste good.
someone's like, try this, it's so healthy. And I'm like, I can't get that. I can't get it down.
Yeah. It's like,
But you know what I'm saying?
I
It
tried
does.
it. That's my
Now,
goal, though.
fresh does taste good, right? But it's this idea almost that you said is you've got to get people trying it to understand. Our preconception a lot, most people's, unless you've done a lot, is, well, green juice doesn't taste good. Like radish juice isn't
but
the same
I'm
thing.
not doing that. I'm not
No,
doing
I
that.
get
I'm
that,
saying
but-
like barbecue and salad.
Yeah, but
Barbecue and rice and salad.
for sure. And
or
your
something like
restaurant,
that.
that's what it is. I mean, Dive is not, I mean, I go in there and there's a lot of different options and it tastes good, but there's optionality to it in food groups that we've seen before.
Yeah, familiar.
Yes.
Approachable.
Even kids menu food groups, right?
Totally.
Because like, look, a kid is still going to want to eat like a kid.
They want the chicken tenders.
Exactly, 100%. So it's within means. And I think also the health side of it is so important because I would say, look, from a kid who loved Doritos,
Sure.
like up until a week ago, I mean, I wouldn't eat Doritos as much as I could but like then I was listening. I haven't listened. I'm 41 years old and I'm like, did anyone ever tell you what's in a Dorito? And I'm like, no. I mean, I know they're good. I'm big Cool Ranch nacho cheese are great. And I'm like, okay, now Doritos might be a little bit of a delicacy for me going forward, but you can find a potato chip that tastes pretty damn close and is not filled with all this stuff. I mean, look at bread. I look at bread and I'm like,
that's a whole other one.
Bread should not, right? Bread should not last more than a day.
No. I mean, well, yeah.
Right.
Bread also, the wheat in this country has been totally tainted, if you ask me. So
yeah, and someone said this to me. I mean, I'd love your response on it. I said, I've had allergies my whole life, and they've gotten worse. And someone said, and I go, I get allergy shots. And they go, how do they work? And I go, they don't really work. And someone said, well, that's because it's probably not the shot, it's the food you eat.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because a lot of people think they're gluten free or celiac or something like that. And this is a whole conversation. And, I'd love to see what they say on the chat here. But it's really the glyphosate that people are allergic to. It's really the way they are harvesting the wheat and growing the wheat and the cloned seeds that are made with a chemical inside the seed, right? I mean, that's not what nature intended. I mean, I don't know how anybody can overlook that. It blows my mind, honestly.
Because again, from someone who's health conscious,
sure,
what you just said, I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so glyphosate is Monsanto created. Monsanto created something that...
And Monsanto is a big company that's in the farming industry that...
no, they made chemicals to kill weeds.
Oh, sorry. See, but they're a big chemical company.
Big chemical company.
Used a lot of farm. Is it not used
also
a lot of
owned, I think, quote me if I'm wrong, but also owned by Bayer. I think they're a chemical company that started Roundup. Do you know Roundup?
Weed killer?
Do you remember that? Where that was very popular in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And then they soon found out after that it was giving everybody cancer, and anybody that had used Roundup, it was linked, blah, blah, blah. But they also got into the agriculture business that created wheat was our biggest, agriculture per capita, whatever, in our country.
Yeah.
Right. And they found a way that, wow, it's a miracle. Wheat is going to grow without any weeds or any problems or any, we're going to be better than nature right here, right? We can't let anything take down our wheat because that takes down the farmer for the week. So a lot of farmers were like, okay, yes, definitely. Wow, this is a miracle. Let's do it. A lot of farmers bought into it for a long time. Well, what happened is a lot of our soil, a lot of our bees are disappearing because of this. A lot of our soil in the United States has had this seed in it that has actually put this chemical into our water supply, into our soil, into our pollinators, right, of the bees. And it's kind of changing the way the ecosystem. It's changing the way we're supposed to grow and things like that, because glyphosate is like a chemical, okay? And it's not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be part of the cycle.
In the wheat to create bread and other...
Right. They make it so that the harvest is larger, I believe. Shoot, I'm not an encyclopedia on this stuff. I just know what I don't like, right? But the glyphosate is usually what's affecting everybody's gut health, because when you eat that bread, I mean, tell me you don't get gassy. I'm sorry, but like the majority of people that eat bread, they're like, oh, I must be gluten-free. But really, they're eating a different bread. We've been eating bread since, the beginning of humanity
Yeah.
almost. And they will eat that bread and then wonder why it's making them gassy. But then if they look at the gluten-free bread, those like rye and spelt and all of that, that's not tainted, right? It's just the wheat. So it's like they're not getting gassy from that bread, but they're getting gassy from this bread, sourdough, things like that.
For the audience listening and including myself, right? Suppose after listening to this episode and you're like, all right, I'm going to be way more intentional on the fresh produce I eat or the food I eat. How do we go about that? Like, look, I love going to dive. I can't go to dive 5 times a week.
No.
I want to eat fresh, but I do go to restaurants. But
So
obviously you go to Whole Foods or you can go to certain grocers, but obviously certain grocers are more expensive than others.
Yes. Okay. Just try to look for the non-GMO. If you think that you're feeling like you're allergic to bread or it doesn't agree with you, just try to look for everything that says non-GMO. That's a little sign. And yes, it's more expensive, but I'm just saying for that subject matter. I eat at restaurants all the time. I mean, I keep a balance. You can't really avoid all of this, right?
What do you ask for in the restaurant?
Whatever I'm in the mood
But
for.
you look, but you
Like,
look, are you looking for something a little bit more, or is it just the nature of the restaurant you're choosing to go to?
I tend to not eat fast food, I guess. Actually, to me, restaurants, the majority of any kind of restaurant that isn't fast food, for example, I'll eat at Jersey Mike's. I like it. But it's the oils that really bother me personally. A lot of them are synthetic and I can taste it, and the oil's stuck in my mouth for the rest of the day if I eat fast food. I mean, I'll eat In-N-Out, not gonna lie. I'll have an In-N-Out burger.
What's the watch out with where our society is heading with food that you say, hold up, or let's be cognizant?
Okay, if it's banned in Europe, let's not eat it. Seriously. I mean,
Because
they're trying to keep their old world soil, old world, right? Like they're trying to keep the food practices real and natural and wholesome. And I commend that big time. You can see the food tastes totally different when you go there. It's not mass produced. It's not manufactured as much as ours. Yeah, I mean, my son wants Takis. Well, they're banned in Mexico. I'll give you these natural Takis. They taste the same, and you don't have all the extra chemical in it.
How easy and great is that?
I mean, nowadays, we're so lucky. There's so many people that are on this bandwagon, honestly. Like, the timing couldn't have been better for me to start this company, because now people are aware, way more aware. There's substitutes for everything. It's like, why are we even eating the old stuff? Let's just move over, you know? And the fact that there's so many more, like Mrs. Gooch's didn't have as many when we were little. Nowadays, there's a healthy Cinnamon Toast Crunch. There's a healthy, anything that we're familiar with, there's a healthy version of it.
You're trying to balance sustainability, affordability,
Yeah.
and basically resources to do it in a manner that can feed everybody.
Yeah.
And I think what we've learned, or what we're seeing, is we don't have that infrastructure, or at least it doesn't appear like that, to keep pricing down, to keep volume up. And so what does that look like in order to get to a healthy balance?
Okay, so I see what you're saying. If you think about it, so much food goes in the trash. We're having a food shortage. Why? Right? For one. For two, if more people are learning about how to grow their food, which I have noticed in colleges, that's what people are starting to learn. It starts with the younger generation, really. Why not have some of the produce just in your backyard or in an area, even if you live in an apartment, on a balcony or something, but not everybody's going to do that, right? So I guess I'm saying with the jobs and sustainability and things like that, I think what's happening is, because of the food shortage, people are going to start to learn how to grow their own food. People are going to start to learn how to have old survival tactics, basically, and not depend on the government for everything. I really do see that. I see that happening more and more. Not so much that we can't depend on the government, because we can, but it's more about taking control of what you want to eat and not, you know.
Yeah, and I think as anything, as it becomes more affordable, it hits the masses, right? Like that's just the nature
Of
of
course.
new age anything, whether it be technology or electric uses of vehicles or whatever it may be. Once we can get this fresh food to an economic state for everybody, that's the game changer.
I mean, there was like something I remember them saying, like, oh, this one little community is going to give you so and so like a break on your taxes, or if you have 3 chickens or something and you're laying eggs. Like, if they start to incentivize this to save you money in the long run, or, you know, everybody in our neighborhood gets one of those tall towers that you can grow hydroponically in your house. They're super simple. Here are the directions. It's really affordable. Here you go. This is where you get the seeds, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if we make the whole process is more affordable, what's going to hold us from doing that if it becomes the norm, if it becomes the trend?
100%. It's socially not even acceptable,
It's
but like,
cool, man. That's what you're
yeah,
supposed to do. What do you mean you don't have a hydroponic thing in your kitchen? I hope it cooks like that. I mean, it's
I
a
would
way
be
for us
shocked.
to help our own selves.
I think we're headed there. I absolutely do.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the goal. And if anything, I want to get this little, I'm calling it DiveDWN Coastal Bites, by the way, the little modular place. But if more people want to eat like me, who knows what can happen? Not to be like egotistical that way, but I mean, like, if more people want to eat this way and it becomes more of the norm for them, and that, or even just if it's like a special occasion, you know, for the week with their family, they're getting that little bit every week. And that right there, just that tiny little bit, I think will make a difference.
Yeah, that's intelligent. And I would say, also with water, someone called me the other day, mutual friend, Andrew Welker, who's
Uh-huh.
been on,
Yes.
and he goes, well, what water you drink? I go, drinking tap water my whole life. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you got to be careful, man. You don't know what's in the water. You don't know what's in the water. And so I bought this filtration system. It wasn't all relative. It was $150. I installed it downstairs, and now I only drink this filtered water in my house. Also for my dogs. He said, what water is your dogs drinking? I'm like, they get tap water too. And he
Yeah.
said, no, 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 no. They need to be on this filtered water too. And look, we can joke about it, but that's obviously another thing that, what are you putting in your body, right? So what's your opinion on the water?
Oh gosh. You're asking all the tough questions today. I love a filtered water system in okay, so for example, I live not too far from here, and I didn't have a water filter in my house, but normally in most homes I put a full house water filter. Um for about a year. I just installed a new one, and I was like, wow, what have I been missing again? I'm a big fan of that. The only issue I see there sometimes is with reverse osmosis. It actually sucks the minerals out of your body, because there's so many minerals and everything sucked out of the reverse osmosis water, because they get everything out of it, right? All the impurities. So I always think it's better to have that for your main house filter, and then have a drinking water one that they replenish that. So they make it more of like an alkaline water.
Yeah, because I was thinking more drinking, but people do it for their house and shower.
Yeah, I mean, it
instead of-
makes a huge difference on your hair.
Really?
Oh, you can feel it.
I don't
It's
have it
like,
in my I don't have it in my whole house.
oh, it's a
You think it's affecting my
crazy
hair?
difference. I mean, I just experienced it like a couple months ago, and I was like, gosh, why did I wait so long? I mean, I don't know. I like, it feels great. And then I feel fine drinking the tap water whenever, like, I'm upstairs. I don't want to go all the way downstairs, whatever.
So
Oh, and it saves you money from like buying so many bottles for over the
yeah,
years.
that's what I'm saying. The filtered for what you drink,
And then,
$150 to have it in your sink or your fridge or whatever it may be. Obvious. Your whole house may be a different level.
it reduces the amount of plastic that you're purchasing.
Yeah.
Unless you like glass bottles, which I think Mountain Valley water is really great, by the way.
So back to the food deserts and you setting up your charity and having these kind of ready to eat meals.
They're more like shopping box. They're more like filling your like filling your fridge with groceries.
Yeah. Okay. As opposed, yeah. And you're trying to do it in a manner where it's economical to all
they're getting it for free.
Okay, so it's free.
Okay, this is for people that don't qualify for food stamps because they do work, but they live in an area where there is not a grocery store anywhere close by. There's not a place where they can get delivery food. Let's give an example of a family. The mom and dad work. They have 7 kids at home. Those kids get home, there's nothing to eat, and there's nowhere to get the food. And they have to eat something out of a box, right? Well, what we do is feed that level of family where we're bringing them a whole box of groceries to have in their house. Now, the challenge that I see with that is that those kids don't know how to make anything with those groceries, right? Because they've never been taught that. So that's kind of where I come in because I partnered with this charity, right? This is where I want to teach people what to do with these ingredients, right? I used to volunteer at the juvenile detention center here in Dallas, and there was about 15 to 17-year-olds, roughly 15 to 18-year-olds, that those boys that have grown up in a very hard environment, you would think they would not resonate with me whatsoever. Like, what are you doing here, lady, right? Well, I would go there and teach cooking classes, and you'd be surprised how many people knew all about machine guns or, something of a violent nature, but they didn't know what a zucchini was, or they'd never seen like some of the normal foods that we eat on a regular basis. I mean, I think I saw one girl eat an orange like an apple. That is what really spurred me through all of this because I was like, come on, like this shouldn't be like this, right?
Well, and it also can be a avenue to get out of some of maybe the places they're in.
That's exactly what I was there
release
for.
and just
That's
something
exactly what I was
to
there
take
for.
your mind off some of trauma or just not a
Look,
nice
you
place.
can make your life doing something creative like this. You can, you can grow lettuce instead of weed.
My little brother, he
Whatever.
wanted to start a restaurant. His whole thing was, I want to start a restaurant,
Oh, cool.
And I was like, great, let's go with it. Let's roll with it.
I would bring those kids in, by the way. I got field trips allowed for the women's detention center and the boys' detention center, and I would get them to come to Dive. They would fill Dive. They would see the whole process of Dive. They would see how we did everything in the kitchen. I would feed them things that they had never seen in their life, like calamari, quinoa. It was so fun.
Well,
and you'd be surprised they
it's
ate
the most
it. And they got into it. And I was like, if I could just spread light through one of y'all to go in a direction that makes you feel good, instead of defense.
It's so refreshing.
Survival.
It's refreshing. 100%. I used to ask my little brother, and I said, "What's your favorite restaurant?" It was only the restaurants I'd ever taken him to.
Sure.
You remember when we had that calamari? You remember when we had that? It kind of excites you. So and the passion you have, I love it. It certainly will be challenging, like you said. And
of course, I mean, I'm a grassroots little tiny little way, but if there's more people that believe in this and there's more exposure, I mean, it's got to start somewhere. I mean, by the World Forum, by the way, agriculture jobs are going to be the #1 job in the United States, according to the World Forum. In 5 years, they see that happening.
Well,
is that amazing, really? And the average farmer is only 60 years old. Well, now in every university, they're teaching agriculture and sustainability, and they have to get on board with, especially.
And it's kind of become fun in the society, right? Like, where's our herb garden?
Sure.
right? That's not hated on.
It's
I mean,
trendy.
I think it is trendy. I mean, 10 years ago, someone might be like,
okay,
oh yeah, good for you. And now it's like, I'm like, maybe I should be doing this. Like,
yeah.
And someone said, using your hands, and so it's kind of fun to cook with your own ingredients. We had, Alex Snodgrass on here, who's
I love her.
And everyone loves her, and she's like found this affordable way and this fun way, and include your family and make it an experience.
Sure.
And I guess talk to me a little bit, because you're a mother.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And for mothers listening, or fathers, right? I think it's important, as I said, it starts with the top down.
Of course.
Always. And so what are you trying to do, or what would be the advice you'd give the audience listening to kind of put this into your family diet in a fun way?
Yeah. Okay. So I love to cook, obviously. I still cook at home every day. I'm not in my restaurant kitchen anymore, but my son sees that, for one. When he was little, he used to take pride in helping me. Right now he's, 9, so he's a little bit not into helping me as much. But if you have kids that are interested, definitely bring them in the kitchen. It's a fun way to hang out with them and have them create something, obviously. I also think that if you only give them what they know, they'll never expand their horizons on what food can be. So I'm so lucky that my son will pretty much taste anything I make him taste. Even if he's like, no, that doesn't look good. Well, just try it. Come on. Like, have I ever given you anything bad? Just make sure that you like it, because if you like it, most likely they will like it. And then their palates get, broader, and you have more to choose from. You don't have to just give them what's cool or what they think is cool. I mean, kids are little budding, brains. You want to give them more. So, what else is something fun that you can do with them besides cooking with them? I don't know. Like, take them to cool restaurants that are healthy and be like, wow, here's the chef. I don't know, whatever.
Or maybe
make it cool,
like a taste testing too, like
we can try that.
like a blindfolded, like, name this fish, or name this vegetable, or this.
Super good idea. Should we blindfold you today?
Yeah, we should. I should blindfold myself and see if I can taste the difference, because we have this is your natural.
So yes, so we grow all of these in our containers. We have 2 shipping containers at DiveDWN, which is also where we have the food hub. So we also get to give this lettuce to some of those families that I was talking about. We have a butter crunch, a red leaf, and this is just about to be fully mature, but these are baby lettuces, okay? They're a little delicate because they are hydroponic. When you grow, we're also putting a greenhouse on top that's going to be all soil. Again, it's a small little urban farm, so we're just selling this straight to Dive. So when you're eating your lettuce at Dive, you're actually getting lettuce that we grow.
And you can eat this right now.
Yeah, go right
Even though it's baby, you said it was baby and kind of still.
It's okay. You pick a piece that looks good.
That is good.
I'm good.
No dressing, and honestly, it's good. It feels light,
Right. So it's very nutrient dense.
It feels soft.
We're using 1/4 of the amount of water that you would use in a normal farm. Okay. Yeah. It's high nutrients. So like a fun fact, spinach loses in about 8 days, spinach loses all of its nutrients, believe it or not. The stuff you buy in the grocery store has barely any, if it changes temperature, especially. Stuff that comes right from the stem like that. Look at you.
I could eat all this like a carrot or so. Is this negative calorie?
I mean, it's high nutrient density.
It's actually really good. What's this? Sorry.
That's a butter crunch.
Is that gonna get? What's that gonna taste like?
I mean, they'll be a little different. You even have like a little kale over here.
A kale?
Mm-hmm.
Not a big kale guy.
Well, maybe I'm gonna change that. It's a little more bitter.
Honestly, it tastes good. It does taste fresh, and without dressing. Like I could
without dressing.
I could eat this.
And I mean, this is only.
Oh, that's actually really good. The kale.
I thought you would like that. I know the smaller kale is much more delicate, and it's also not so bitter, right? About kale.
Yeah, I'm used to a little bit more of a bitter kale.
The thing is the transport time. I'm 10 minutes. My farm is 10 minutes from the restaurant.
Is this like washed like a lot or no?
Yeah, every day, constantly, all day. Yeah. Why do you?
No, I taste so good and clean. With
we don't have any dirt anywhere.
This is the
and no chemicals and nothing gets sprayed on it.
But this is organic, Simply Truth organic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Would that be?
I don't know. I tried to bring this is also organic. I'm using an heirloom seed that is not tainted by any kind of GMO.
Good marketing, or is this like actually?
I don't know. I bought it from Kroger or something.
Okay. Would this be similar to what I just ate?
Try it. Yeah, very similar to what you just ate. Let's see what you like better. That one looks a little greener. It's probably grown in soil.
Not as soft.
No, it's not as soft. It's coarser for sure. That one looks more grown in soil.
I wouldn't just, munch on this. Like I could see myself having this in the fridge.
Nice. Well, I'm going to leave that for you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Got a little bit of an aftertaste. I feel like Chaz Martin with wine right now.
He's an old friend of mine too.
The cherry.
Yeah, you know what? Because think about it. It's been sitting in that plastic container.
Yeah. No.
You see what I'm saying?
Not for me. And then you brought some other stuff.
Oh, well, just to make a real salad if you want.
And what's funny is I thought these were what do I call them? Alfalfa
sprouts, but they're broccoli. So we also do microgreens at the farm, all different kinds. We have carrot, we have cantaloupe, we have radish, and they're beautiful. Those are broccoli.
I was a taste to them.
Yep, those are on the they're fresh too. I mean, everything is once a week that we harvest. We harvest almost 1,200 plants a week.
Carrots are good for your eyes.
They are good for your eyes.
Team, you might want some of this. Excellent.
I brought some dressing so you guys can actually make a proper salad when you're finished. I'm so glad that you did the taste test. Thank you for that. I haven't had that done yet.
It's
so
good.
Now it's on record.
That's actually really good. Yeah. No, look, you can obviously taste the difference between what's 10 minutes fresh.
Totally.
What's in plastic.
Yeah.
I would have to call you and say, bring this over or have a connection.
Sure. I
Not
mean,
necessarily realistic. Obviously, you can go to farmers markets and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, support small business and farmers because we're the ones trying to fight the good fight, really. Because the more of us, more that people turn towards that direction, the less the larger companies are going to prevail. Or they're going to start jumping on board and also wanting the small farmers for it, which they do. A lot of the distributors do.
I think the idea too is, and I could hold myself accountable for this, is like, make it something fun, right? Go to the farmer's market, go source a meal, cook together.
Sure.
See what experience that's like. We've talked about it on our show, and just sitting here tasting it, it reminds you of like, go do it. Like I had a friend over last night, and he asked me, he's like, where do you eat? And I'm like, let's go to Eats. He's like, do you ever cook at home? I'm like, no.
Well, that's the thing. Not everybody wants to cook.
But that's just me being a little bit, quite frankly, lazy and uninspired. If I said to myself, let's go make the best Caesar salad with fresh lettuce and carrots and eggs and chicken and mandarin
You're
oranges.
Like getting into the gourmet life now.
You see, that tastes good. Maybe some good sourdough.
There you go.
But like, there is a joy in that. There's a fun in that's lost when you basically say, well, I don't have time for that. Or I don't.
Just the rat race of the, that's what we call dive for the on-the-go foodie, because really you want to eat that way, but you don't have time. So here you go.
But I would argue we could make time, right? Like,
of course.
That's
when there's
an excuse.
There's a way.
Absolutely. You find a way. I know you spend a lot of time with your son. You make that a priority, right?
I do. I'm really interested in making sure that he eats some good nutrient meals because, for example, he needs a lot of protein to think too. And a lot of that to me is empty calorie food like the McDonald's or the Doritos or, at lunch in the cafeteria, forget it. The kid will just eat like Funyuns or not eat, anything that's really going to help his brain power. And then you see it in the difference in the morning. He has an egg and he thinks really well. In the afternoon, he kind of starts to crumble because it's like he didn't get any more nutrients to continue the day.
1,000. I know for myself when I eat, I'd stop, but when I eat bread at lunch, it's like,
oh, you get tired.
You get
probably.
Tired.
Because it's not that I'm telling you. Just I'm gonna help you with the bread selections. Because I love bread. I'm like obsessed with bread. Yeah. Like good breads are hard to come by, honestly.
Yeah, Georgie's bread, one of the best.
Yeah,
yeah,
I love them.
Really
cool. Stefan, the owners of Georgie, Bill Bouquet, they're family friends of ours, and I love everything they do. I go to him as a mentor a lot of times. That. Yeah,
great bread.
Yeah.
Alex Perry on Fire podcast. What fires you up on the daily?
Ooh. Say when I see my son happy is a big one. And really like being in his own, like he plays flag football and he's now a quarterback. And, when he's resilient and he's feeling like he's gonna fall into that trap of kind of, I can't do it. No. Pick your head up, that fires me up big time. Let's say, and I see a lot of it in football because, they feel defeated for a minute and then in the last minute they win in overtime or something.
Love it.
That was amazing. On a daily basis, I'm real spiritual in a way where I very much believe in the movement of energy and physics and God. I pray a lot. I do yoga. I like to have a good sweat. I love a place called Ozone. If you've ever been there, it's really good for your body, gives your body more oxygen. I'd say the thing that really fires me up is my passions for trying to help people and spread the light and spread exposure, my son, and my spirituality, my belief in God and faith.
Love it.
Big
Love it.
time.
And you feel it on you. This is fun. This is energy.
It
It's
exudes.
exciting.
You see, I already
Love it.
lit
It
up
is
just
fun.
talking about
It
it.
is fun. That's the idea of it. And I think the obvious is, but tell us where you'd like. We donate for every guest that comes on the show. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we donate $2,500 to charity of your choice
What?
in your name, of
You're
course.
kidding
Yeah,
me.
no, absolutely. So
Well, did you even know that I worked with the nonprofit?
I knew of it, but not the exact nonprofit. Didn't know exactly what it did. Now we know, but obviously that's going to go to
You're 4 down. Wow, they'll
Four
be
Down.
so
We'll go to
happy.
4 Down.
That's so amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
absolutely.
Thank
We're
you.
excited for that.
And Dive Down. Dive Down is Dive and 4 Down together, right? Obviously, we have awesome events coming up there. Please come and visit. Like, it is such a cool little spot. We're just south of Deep Ellum. And it's the first thing I did to grow my company. I didn't go and start a chain right away because I want to do a chain the real way. I want to make it as sustainable. I want to use real numbers. I want to use real, like, hardcore, facts on what I could actually do to make this sustainable chain. And it's all because of this place 4 Down that let me put my farm there. So, and I couldn't be happier to work with them because, shoot, I'm helping so many people in that way when I didn't even know it.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you take the food from Dive that isn't used and then obviously bring it there, right?
Yeah, but we don't really have very much waste at Dive.
Okay.
We after 15 years, we're really good about not having food waste.
Do a
If
lot
we
of
do,
restaurants
we
have that?
compost. If anything is perished, has gone to, like, if there's mold on anything, we do not ever serve it, obviously, but that goes to our composting. So we have a composting on site as well.
Okay, just that was more out of curiosity from you saying that it's
Yeah.
like all these restaurants or these
But
markets.
we can. Yeah, we can from anywhere. So if anybody knows anybody that has any food waste in their restaurant and they want to, instead of throw it away, they can always take it down to us.
That's what I was getting at. That sounds pretty important.
Yeah, and any grocery stores, and we even do flower arrangements and such. I mean,
Love
it's
it.
been a labor of love over there for sure. But of course, Dive is my first baby and has really been my platform to be artistic and share my love of food. And I'm so lucky that I have people like you going there all the time. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. This has been fun. It's now awakened me to even more health conscious, which is never a problem. It's never a problem. Life's meant to be enjoyed. Eat as you want, right? But just with the mindfulness of what you're putting in your body. We've all wanted to eat healthy, and we've all been in a place where we need some grease, right? And it's just the balance of life. And that's the fun.
Balance. I mean, come on. I still have my In-N-Out burger once in a while. I mean, it's just making sure that you're being thoughtful. You're right. Thank you so much for having me and letting me share some of this. There's some of those scientific things I was talking about earlier. Come on. I want to get into the more of the fun side. So, like, we can know that stuff, but we don't have to dwell on it. We just have to know it and carry on.
Yeah, talk to me in a way I can understand it.
Totally.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Alex Perry on Fire. It means so much to me and the wonderful team that makes this all possible. I'm now passing the flame to you. Please follow, like, and subscribe so you can always stay up to date. Thanks again, and stay fired up.